Monday morning, as most of Nairobi was still waking up, Kenya's security apparatus was already in full combat. Major roads leading into the capital had been blocked, the central business district sealed off, and law enforcement stretched thin across key towns, all in a bid to stop what many had warned would be the largest public uprising in years. The 2025 Sabasaba protests had been building for weeks, largely driven by Gen Z youth angry over police killings and brutality, runaway corruption, and a skyrocketing cost of living. President William Ruto and his administration knew what was coming, and they moved fast to shut it down. From around 5 a.m., the first wave of countermeasures rolled out. All main roads into Nairobi, including Thika Road, Jogoo Road, Ngong Road, and Mombasa Road, were barricaded. Some entry points had razor wires. Statehouse Road was completely sealed off, with both police and military guarding every corner. The Directorate of Criminal Investigation (DCI) deployed plainclothed officers in numberless SUBARUs across informal settlements. Their mission was to monitor, preempt, and if needed, take down protest organizers. They focused on Nairobi's known hotspots: Kibra, Mathare, Kayole, and Githurai. In Naivasha, tension flared when a popular supermarket came under threat of looting. Within minutes, Kenya Defence Forces KDF soldiers were deployed to secure the area. Uniformed and armed, the military's presence confirmed the government was willing to go all in to maintain order. It wasn't an isolated incident. Across towns like Nakuru, Embu, Kitengela, and Kisii, the same pattern repeated. Small gatherings formed, slogans were shouted, bonfires lit, but the crackdown came fast and hard. Despite warnings and roadblocks, Gen Z protesters pushed ahead. In Nairobi's Kangemi and parts of Eastlands, youths lit fires, waved placards, and called out the government. Their chants of Ruto must go echoed through narrow streets, but they were met by tear gas, water cannons, and rubber bullets. In at least one location, live rounds were reportedly fired. A protester was shot and rushed to hospital, while others were dragged into waiting police trucks. These weren't isolated acts of defiance. The protests were a direct response to recent incidents that had angered the public. In June, a young blogger named Albert Ojwang died in police custody. Just weeks later, Boniface Karaoke, a street vendor, was shot during a demonstration and later died from his wounds. These names became rallying cries for a generation that feels ignored, abused, and under attack. What made this protest different wasn't just the anger on the street, but the sheer scale of state response. DCI operatives, regular police, anti-riot squads, and KDF soldiers worked in coordination. Surveillance drones reportedly hovered over Nairobi. Social media was monitored in real time. For the state, the goal was simple: prevent any repeat of the chaos seen during past protests, and they succeeded, at least for now. By midday, most demonstrations had either fizzled out or been forcefully broken. The CBD remained mostly quiet. Shops stayed shut. Students were kept home. Even public transport was limited.
Tutakapa hadi masaa ya jioni. Kitu ya maana tunaandamana maandamano ya amani.
By the end of the day, President Ruto had avoided a full-blown national revolt. The streets were calm, but the silence felt temporary. Online, Gen Z activists called the day a warning shot. Their message was blunt: this is just the beginning. At a press conference later that evening, opposition leader Raila Odinga called for calm and for dialogue. He urged the government to listen to the youths, address their demands, and stop meeting peaceful protests with violence.
I propose an inclusive, intergenerational, national conclave to hear our people across all divides and come up with irreducible reforms and changes necessary to take the country forward. I propose that the country urgently returns to the agenda of comprehensive police reforms, focusing on enhancing accountability, transparency, and improving the police-to-people relationship. Your rogue police force that shoots people with impunity. And this is a force that we...
Whether the Ruto administration will soften its stance remains unclear. So far, the only certainty is that Kenya's youth are restless and unafraid. And after Sabasaba 2025, it's clear the country is walking a tightrope between stability and a new era of civil unrest.
The biggest challenge facing Kenya today and into the foreseeable future is how to expand economic opportunity and lift particularly young Kenyans out of poverty, exclusion, and unemployment. Kenyans are yearning for programs and leaders that prioritize economic inclusivity, social justice, and political freedom. There is no doubt that the country is yearning for legislation that makes our institutions more responsive, programs that ensure adequate funding for services that touch wananchi, changes that make our judiciary free, efficient and progressive, measures that make the executive more accountable and efficient. We must end impunity and corruption within our three arms of government.